Mansente sini mansente sini mansente ikafana banni gado kudu keningon ka sumbada jukudu kenon lekini la musoba kuma la ne kafadu badigben sense kurusani balato mba bangbantu bila korote bangbantu fada koloka bangbantu bila korote bangbantu fada koloka bangbantu bila korote bangbantu fada koloka inaka ifaka dinin berete sekandi kana sekanta okabu idala ha sise wodo ye kadi yakun kama idagba na dinin berete sekandi kana sekanta sise wodo ye kadi yakun kama idagba na dinin berete sekandi kana sekanta todon kundo malon sadan todon kundo todo tokuso kasi tokuso pati papa tokuso kasi tokuso pati papa ike pati papa tokuso kasi tokuso tokuso kasi tokuso tokuso kasi tokuso ike pati papa ike pati papa
Imani, faith. To believe with all our heart in our people, our parents, our teachers, our leaders, and the righteousness and victory of our struggle. Imani, faith. Today's excerpt will be taken from Black Pearls for Parents. Faith can give us courage to face the uncertainties of the future. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Faith is perhaps our greatest weapon. It can keep us strong in times of stress, keep us motivated to build the kinds of lives we dream for ourselves and our families. Yet, strange as it may seem, we are often our own worst enemies. We adopt cynical attitudes that cheat us of potential fulfillment. We abandon hope for positive change and learn to live with the inevitable bitterness. Our children suffer and, like sponges, absorb our despair. Without question, we need to be relentless in shoring up our faith. Daily meditation and positive thinking can help. Distancing ourselves from negative individuals and actively seeking out inspiration through self-help books and biographies through magazines and lectures can also fortify us. So too can prayer. On this day, I will take 5 minutes to talk to my child and communicate to her the faith that I have in her and our people.
Abuaje, everyone. Today is the last day of Kwanzaa. So that means we're all about faith today, okay? What do you have faith in? I hope you have faith in yourself. I hope you have faith in your family, right? Okay? So today we have a panel carved out that's going to be about faith, mental health, and spirituality in the middle of a pandemic. How do we take care of our minds and our spirits during this very trying time? Okay, so we have religious leaders, we have some spiritual leaders, and we have mental health experts, all coming together to really help us and talk to us about best practices to get through these trying times. Okay, so we hope that you enjoy. We hope that you stay tuned in and that you share with a friend, a family member, or a colleague, something like that. All right. All right. Peace to you, Mama Maisha.
And spiritual practices during a pandemic. Our first Greetings, everyone. Habarigani, and welcome to our last day of Kwanzaa, where we focus on Imani, faith. And the topic of our discussion today is maintaining faith, mental health, and spiritual practices during a pandemic. Our first guest is Chief Seku Alaiji. Chief Seku Alaiji is the senior priest of 256 Healing Arts in the Ogundashe Ifa Temple. His approach and methodology is based on spiritual training he's undergone throughout the world, including Africa, Asia, South America, and the Caribbean. His diverse experiences give him a well-rounded and holistic approach to spiritual health. Chief Alaiji comes from a long line of sages and mystics of the mystery systems called Ifa and Orisha of Yoruba land in Cuba. Chief Alaiji is an initiated priest in several systems, holding the title Babalawo, Olo Oshun, and Omo Ana. Both a musician as well as an educator, Chief Alaiji has taught and mentored people of all ages and backgrounds over the past 20 years. Thank you so much for joining us, Chief Alaiji, and welcome. Also joining us today for our discussion on Imani are Pastor Mark and Lady LaShonda Talbert of Word of Life Christian Center in District Heights, Maryland. As a 21st century leader and visionary, Pastor Mark Talbert Sr. is a powerful, charismatic teacher and preacher who has a deep passion for seeing lives transformed through God's word. Although he has been challenged throughout his life, these experiences made him stronger in the Lord and have provoked an earnest desire to seek after the heart of God through prayer and worship. Lady Shonda's call and passion is to minister to young women who are broken, hurt, and challenged in the area of self-esteem. It is her desire to assist them with finding a place of comfort, healing, and deliverance through helping them realize their self-worth, value, and their purpose in life. She is called upon by many others seeking counsel and actively mentors many young women. A native Washingtonian, Pastor Mark has served the church in various areas of ministry for over 20 years prior to being called to the pastorate. He received his Bachelor of Science degree in Business Administration and Finance at Frostburg State University and holds master's degrees from National Bible College and Seminary and Lancaster Bible College. He is currently pursuing his Doctor of Philosophy in Leadership. Lady Shonda is the owner of Fit for Life Studio, located in Fort Washington, Maryland. Every day, she challenges and encourages her studio clients to live your fitness every day. Lady Shonda believes that daily we should make a conscious decision to pursue a healthy lifestyle, spiritually, mentally, and physically. They are the loving parents of 4 children, and together they lead their congregation and community through the mantra, we live, we love, we worship. I'd also like to welcome to the panel Dr. Michelle Coghill Chapman, also known as Iya Omo Olufina, who is an assistant professor in the Crime, Justice, and Security Studies program at the University of the District of Columbia. Dr. Chapman teaches courses on restorative justice, urban youth development, girls and gangs, and research methods. She's currently designing the youth studies concentration within the CJSS program. Also a contemplative educator, Dr. Chapman integrates mindfulness, storytelling, deep listening, and jazz into her instruction to help promote learning. She possesses over 15 years of experience in applied research, youth development, and education human services program management. I'd also like to welcome Nanakoiku Amankwa Abuaje. He's a native of Queens, New York, who considers himself to be a first-generation Akan of America. Nana Amankwa's father, Nana K. Owusu Abuaje, and mother, the late Nana Okosia Nan Abuaje, infused him with a strong sense of his African cultural identity. Nana was reminded on a daily basis that he was an African, and this was also affirmed through the teachings of his godfather, the late Nana Yao Apari Dinizulu, who's the father of the Akan cultural movement in America. At Nana Amankwa's birth, it was divined that he would one day be a priest in the Akan order. In 2002, Nana traveled to Ghana, West Africa, where he trained and graduated over a period of 3 years. Since stepping into the rich legacy of priests before him, Nana has never looked back. He continues to work full-time as a practitioner, teacher, and perpetuator of Akan culture. Welcome to all of our panelists as we discuss today Imani, maintaining faith, mental health, and spiritual practices during a pandemic. First question that I have for you is really centered around the times we're in now. This is definitely, we're experiencing something that none of us have ever experienced in our lives. And in the midst of this pandemic, where people are a bit more socially isolated, they're physically isolated. And so I just wanted to ask a question about how you all have managed to create and maintain safe spaces for people to honor their spirituality and or their mental health during this time. We can start with you, Dr. Chapman.
Thank you and good evening. Greetings. Thank you for having me. So in 2018, I started something called the Black Mindfulness Summit, which was an annual convening for practitioners of mindfulness and other contemplative approaches from around the African diaspora. It was primarily for folks who work in higher ed, as I do, who integrate mindfulness and other contemplative approaches that promote introspection and self-reflection into their teaching, research, and leadership. And so fortunately, we were able to have one convening face-to-face in 2018, and many of those participants came from my affiliation with the Center for Contemplative Mind and Society, another organization in Massachusetts whose board I chair. And that's a global community of contemplative practitioners. So in this era now, we have switched our convenings to a virtual format, and we meet monthly now. And it's been a really wonderful healing space. Mindfulness is everywhere nowadays. You see it on magazine covers. All sorts of programs are promoting mindfulness and meditation. The reason that I have the Black Mindfulness Summit is because I found that it was really important for practitioners who share a cultural and racial identity to come together and to support one another. Sometimes in the mindfulness spaces, white mindfulness practices or whiteness shows up in those spaces. And we needed a place where we can convene and be together and offer healing and vulnerability and connection for one another beyond the white gaze, as Toni Morrison would say. So it's been a really restorative place, even virtually. It's been a restorative healing place. Each month we feature a different practitioner, and they offer an array of approaches that we can do, from photography to music to storytelling to more sort of traditional forms of meditation.
Mm-hmm.
We talk about African spirituality. We talk about our families. We laugh, we cry, because this is a challenging time. But it's been a really great space for me and for those that convene.
Well, for one is just to to keep ourselves available, to keep ourselves open to speaking to folks, and even if that's not in person as we are accustomed to normally, making yourself available, keeping yourself open to communing and experiencing whatever may happen outside of an actual physical encounter. So whether that be through Zoom or a phone call or through FaceTime and all the other mediums that are available to us, we've the greatest thing that we've done is that we haven't stopped.
Mm-hmm.
We just haven't stopped. We didn't allow the circumstances, we didn't allow this pandemic, or some people say the plandemic, to stop what it is that we would normally do. Being a part of and raised in a nature-based religion, I guess, for lack of a better term in this moment. When we study nature, we understand nature, that everything in nature is about adapting. It's about, if a river meets a stone, the river doesn't stop. It just splits and goes around the stone. You see a tree in your backyard, if there's a fence there, the tree will grow into the fence and then through the fence. So we just didn't stop. That was the thing that we, vowed that we would not do. So we continue to meet through Zoom. We continue to have our, some of us do continue to actually meet physically, of course, still wearing masks and social distancing and all of those things to kind of protect ourselves and protect our loved ones. But in lieu of that, those that are not able to meet physically, we continue to use every resource available to us to make sure that we stay connected, to make sure that we still allow ourselves those moments to express gratitude publicly, and to have, I guess, somewhat of a praise and worship sort of moments, even in spite of this pandemic.
What we did was create a safe place through a virtual environment, while trying to maintain as best we can. We have 27 active ministries in our church.
Yeah.
And it was impossible to
translate everything virtually.
Right.
But however, we were able to bring over the majority of the ministries and do our best to actively engage everyone as best we can. When you take people that's used to being able to come into the sanctuary, and making everything 100% virtual, it brings about a challenge. But we've done our best to create that space virtually for everybody throughout the week, when in fact they usually come into church on Sundays for most of them. But now we've created a place where they can come virtually more than once, Tuesdays, Thursdays, Sundays. So trying to be virtual and allow them multiple streams where they can come. That's what we've tried to do, the space that we've tried to create for everybody.
It's been a very, very smooth process for us at 256 Healing Arts, because in creating this organization, it was my vision from the beginning to have a organization that was based in spirituality as well as African culture, and being able to educate and facilitate people in doing both. And the vision has always been to be able to do this in a way that was virtual, because my own upbringing spiritually, I had teachers all over the world, and I wasn't able to be with them every day or even learn with them every day. That a lot of my training actually came by going to visit and maintaining relationships over the phone, even before the internet was as popular as it is. So I always could relate to not living in the same city or even the same country as your master teacher. So in creating this organization, I wanted to have something that people could learn and not be limited to the teachers or masters that were in their environment. So I had already had a system where we would do our instruction via either video or via FaceTime or some type of video call. And then also where we conducted our spiritual work for people via video or FaceTime or video call. So we actually were able to continue the kind of things that we have been doing. But one thing that we did do within this is I created a kind of like a video library of all of my workshops through a website that's called 256films.org. And we've compiled the lectures and workshops that I've been doing over the years, and we've put them all on a video, on videos that people can download directly to their home, their TV, their phone, or computer.
Okay.
That's right.
What are some other things that people can do on their own just to maintain their own spiritual and mental health, even if they aren't able to access that library or may not necessarily have an internet connection? What are some of the things that you could advise people who may be watching today, to do?
I think that the key is two things in particular. One, us understanding and knowing that we are born with a powerful spirit within inside of us. And that spirit that we're born with has the ability to do everything necessary. And we just need, like anything else, food for our spirit, food for our soul. And one of the accessible foods for our soul or for our spirit are Mother Nature, the nature that's around us. And the Orisha and many of the spiritual practices within all African cultures is based in this need and desire and access to nature, where we can go to the river, go to the mountains, go to the trees, go to the ocean, and channel the energy from there into our spirit to empower us and to give us the food necessary for us to carry out whatever our destiny is. So I encourage everyone to connect to nature, to leave the house and to go out, no matter, even during a time like this where it's cold for people in the Northeast, but go out into nature and really connect to the energy there, and go with the intention of allowing it to feed your energy and feed your spirit, feed your soul, so that then you can have the spiritual awareness to then go back into this society that we are subjugated to have to thrive in. And with the connection to nature, I believe we're unstoppable.
This pandemic has presented us with this new social paradigm of not being physically proximal to people. And I know that, in the tradition of the church, physical proximity is a way of healing. laying hands, you hug your congregants, you fellowship, you give the right hand of fellowship, those sorts of things where you are literally touching people. And I know that has probably been very much limited for you. What can you talk to me about the challenges of that, and then talk to me about sort of the silver lining, of this pandemic, of this sort of distancing time, or if it has been a silver lining for you?
Well, one thing, Jesus, he healed a woman and he didn't even have to touch her. She touched him. So again, if we go to God, we touch God on our own, then you don't really need the physical hand of the pastor to touch you.
And however, and you're absolutely right. She's dead on it. As a matter of fact, in one instance, Jesus, he sent his word and it healed, right? But the challenge is that people are accustomed to the physical touch.
Yeah.
And it has, to be honest, it's been a challenge. So what we've done is we've had worship services that we're recording, and we only allow the occupancy that's allowed, which is really just leadership. We've only allowed the leadership to come into those recordings. Everyone else has to have to watch it virtually. But we get calls sometimes like, Pastor, First Lady, please let us come in. We just need, it's almost like, and I hate to use this vernacular, but I need a fix, right? I need to be into the church because that's what they're used to. However, I do believe this pandemic is teaching individuals how to stand. It's something that we've taught, that we've tried to teach and try to instill prior to this pandemic. People are having to learn how to stand on their own without not being able to touch us physically, right? So even in virtual space. So what we've done is we use the comment sections of our Facebook Lives for interaction and for fellowship. So instead of them touching physically, we're touching electronically.
Yeah.
Right. And it's still a touch because and what we've seen is, to be honest with you, we're actually touching more people now than we've touched prior to the pandemic. So, we have a ministry that's probably 200 members plus, maybe, right?
Wow.
So 200 members plus, but every week we can have anywhere between 700 and 1,000 viewers.
Right.
So we're touching more now, but we're just touching them differently.
Which could be a silver lining because,
we're
able to touch people that we would not have otherwise been able to be in contact with, people that's not even here.
Yes, I think that this has been a great reminder that we are in control and the master of our fate and destiny. And that many times when we work with people spiritually, a lot of times we naturally put the onus on the person working with us to do the healing for us. But this has been a wonderful reminder that we have to harness our power through learning and through education so that we can wield our own healing and we can wield our own deliverance.
It's also been great being here every day with my family. I have a husband and a daughter, my coworkers, and just having that family time. Even doing the mundane things like working and going to school virtually. Just the moments we take in the middle of the day to check in with each other or to meet in the kitchen for something to drink or to have lunch. It's really a blessing. A very good friend of mine, you may know her, Maisha Hyman Sumbry, said once that family is the first shrine. And I have remembered that for many years because it is absolutely true. This time that we get to spend together, we are not only cultivating our own good ancestorhood, but for many of us, we are healing old wounds and old family dramas that some of our ancestors, parents, grandparents didn't get an opportunity to heal.
I agree with everything Dr. Chapman said in terms of just being able to spend more time with your family. My schedule and my wife's schedule and my daughter's schedule, we kind of were like ships passing in the night at certain points, and not getting to kind of spend as much quality time together as I would like, or I guess I would hope that everybody would like to spend time with me, not just me wanting to spend time with them, right? But yeah, it's that has been an absolute joy and just one of the best parts. I would say the best part, honestly, of this whole pandemic, situation has been being home.
So while we're discussing technology and those sorts of things, and for anyone who's watching, what are maybe 2 or 3 things that you all would recommend for people to be able to do to make their personal space a space of sanctuary, a space of peace, a space where they can seek out spirit, where they can be very mindful? What are some tips that you would give to someone who's looking to create that space that honors them, holistically during this time where we are not able to be around others, especially during the holiday season where people are so used to, being in physical proximity to others? Dr. Chapman?
Well, as you know, as a priestess, someone who's initiated, I have sacred space in my home. In fact, all my folks are right over there. So I'm in here with them every day, all day, which is really kind of nice because we have so many conversations, and the insight that I get is just phenomenal. But, for non-initiated folks, you can still find, if you can, a little corner in your home that is technology free, right? That has some things around that make you feel grounded and connected, whether it's a pillow or a blanket. Some people like to do candles and incense, and that's fine. Whatever gives you a sense of restoration. If you don't have a very spacious home, or if there are other people there, you can even make your desk kind of a sacred space. Like in some of my prior jobs, I used to put things on my desk to remind me to take a moment to breathe, to go outside. I mean, for all intents and purposes, I had a little mini altar on my desk. I think it's really important that we have reminders around, because this way of living with this technology and this grind culture, we stay on it all the time and we burn ourselves out. And this kind of engagement requires a lot of attention. It really zaps energy from you. So I think it's also important for people to make sure they're getting up, they're moving around and getting some vitamin D every day, even if it's, only for 10 or 15 minutes.
Decluttering, cleaning, doing those things will allow you to create a more relaxing environment where, you're not getting those prompts continuously about all the things you need to do. Your house should be a place of rest. Your home should be a place of peace, where you're not constantly being bombarded with all the things you need to do. It shouldn't be an extension of Instagram, an extension of everything else. It should be a place where the rest of the world is blocked out, where the rest of the world is not doesn't have access to that particular space.
First of all, God only gives us one temple. And so the temple, actually our temple, is the temple of the Holy Spirit. And so because of that, it's important that we take care of it. And so we must exercise. That's just a must. We must eat well. I won't say eat right, but I say eat well. That's basically, that's just what it is. We need to eat well. We need to, our faith and fitness, it just wraps up into one. I don't know. I'm kind of in between where I want to go with that.
And interestingly, we just did a Bible study and talking about self-care. One of the things we did talk about was healthy rhythms, right? Something as simple as getting enough sleep at night.
Yeah.
Right? It affects the body, affects the emotions, all of those things. And even from the workout part to how we eat, right? Which has probably been one of my greatest challenges, but
that has not been a challenge of yours.
Well, she keeps me on task. She keeps me on task. She doesn't allow me to go overboard, I should say. But we did do a self-care, just trying to teach people how to fall in love with themselves again. And we did it so through those means, self-care, whether it's fitness, your faith, and how you eat.
The next thing that I would suggest is for people to connect to their ancestors.
Okay.
And our ancestors are a spiritual resource that we all are born with having the right to connect to and to access. And, even knowing the names of our ancestors can be a challenge for many of us being born and growing up in the United States. But something that I always encourage people to understand is that our ancestors know us before we know them. So we don't even have to know their names. We can just call them by our ancestors or ancestors on our mother's side, ancestors on our father's side, and ask them to connect with us. And within Yoruba culture, one of the ways that we connect with our ancestors is using food, the foods that they would eat. And just by cooking food for them and sitting there and eating a meal with them and calling upon the spirit and asking them to guide us by either giving us signs or speaking to us or just leading us through our dreams will allow us to be able to have great advancement within our society and within our families as well. So connecting to our ancestors is a great way for us to connect.
The spirits and the deities and your ancestors are sort of like radio waves, right? Radio waves, as we know, they're literally flying above our head and around us at all times, right? There's radio waves in each of the rooms that we're in. Radio waves are in there and around us right now. But unless we tune the radio to the right station, the right 98.7, 97.1, that exact thing, we won't get to hear what it is that is coming through that station, what is being broadcast through that station, right? So I think what this has done for all of us is given us a moment to sort of tune in, to tune into that station, to get the message, to get the understanding, to get, whatever benefits that may come with this. And it may not be some grand miracle. It may not be some, this grand gesture from God. And I heard God speak to me and there was a light and then, it may not be that, but it could be something as simple as what Dr. Chapman said that you said to her. It could just be something simple as coming to the realization of family being your first shrine, or, these things, Right.
Thank you all so much. I really, really appreciated this discussion. This is our last day of Kwanzaa, so we are very happy to end on such a highly spiritual note and hope that we are able to take this energy into the new year and share all these gems with our family and with our friends and with our greater community. So thank you again,
Absolutely.
Dr. Chapman and
Thank you so
Amankwa,
much.
and I hope to
Thank you.
see you again soon.
Absolutely.
Yes, indeed. Thank you so much. Be well.
Thank
Be
you.
well.
Let's give a virtual round of applause for that awesome panel discussion. It was much needed. Really, really much needed. Okay. So look, we are right at the finish line of Kwanzaa. Today is the last day. We want to thank everyone who's been tuning in over the last 7 days. Thank you for sharing with your family and friends. These programs will be available on YouTube and our Facebook page. You can watch them whenever you want to. So if you need to go back and touch up on one of those principles, or, maybe you're not feeling as creative as you normally are, you can just go back and check out day 6, right, for Kuumba. So let's go over those principles. Let's go over the 7 principles for my people who don't celebrate Kwanzaa, or if this is your first year, okay? So we got this. Umoja means unity. Kujichagulia means self-determination. Ujima means collective work and responsibility. Ujamaa means cooperative economics. Nia means purpose. Kuumba means creativity. And Imani means faith. Yes, Imani means faith. So I want to give a big shout out to the Adinka Group team. We really pulled this off. It was it was kind of crazy. It was kind of crazy how we pulled it off. But want to give a big shout out to Chris, our sound engineer. I want to give a big shout out to Mama Maisha, one of our producers. I want to give a big shout out to Aya Best. She is the editor. I want to give a big shout out to Baba Diallo, our CEO. Okay. And who else am I missing? Oh, I want to give a shout out to Courtney Watson, who did the makeup. I want to give a shout out to Baby AC, who lit the candles. And shout out to me too. I'm, working behind the scenes. And we really thank you guys for tuning in. Okay. So peace and have a wonderful new year. Imani.